Daytona made its second appearance, and now Atlanta does the same. But unlike the Florida track, this one is now lengthened. Higher speeds and a greater risk reward ratio greets the drivers. Will there be dire consequences for those who wager poorly? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 6 of the Jetta Rallycross Charity Cup. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Gary Weaver. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Just in case we have viewers who weren't with us last time we visited this Georgia circuit, let's head down to our track guide and get a closer look at Atlanta. Welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway. The high speeds of the oval may steal the show for a lot of fans, but for the dirt racing crowd, the two rallycross tracks provide just as many thrills. Both configurations are pretty evenly split between pavement and dirt and include 8 corners. Just like its big brother on the oval, the track is fast. Yet it's the slowest part of the circuit that is probably the most distinctive feature. A more than 180-degree dirt hairpin that has 2 apexes and a whole heap of banking makes for a fun but challenging little corner. It also empties into a long left-hand sweeper that lures drivers into a false sense of security, because at the end of it awaits a steep drop-off that'll suck your car away from the track. While the Joker is a very simplistic shortcut that chops the dirt hairpin out of the lap, it also needs to be remembered that it adds extra speed to the next braking zone. Drivers who get too caught up in the racing can easily forget that and throw away their advantage by blowing the corner. Atlanta's rallycross circuit definitely lives up to the reputation this venue has built for speed and action. Fans and drivers are sure to enjoy this addition to the iRacing service. It's a fun little course that the drivers will be on today, and as I said, it's a little longer than we had last time, Gary, so why don't you run us down the details of the track and get everybody up to speed on that end.
Well, here at Atlanta, the Rallycross long configuration as opposed to the short configuration, you see that extension just up on the left-hand side of the track map. That is that extension to make this track just ever so slightly longer, but it's going to be in 8 turns at nearly 1 mile in length, or 0.9 coming around to 0.97 miles. Could sometimes be rounded, or 1.56 kilometers, and it's situated right here in the infield of the Atlanta Motor Speedway.
And as we wait for the drivers to finish their warm-up that they're currently on, why don't we go over the championship for this series? Things have continued to get interesting, which Gabor Visky continues to lead and extend away from Tim Brokaw. Mark Samogi, though, coming back into the fray, very close to Tim and could potentially maybe take that second place away. As you look farther down, you've got Cortez in there in 4th and Sean Ferrani in P5. Gustavo finally getting a good race last week, as he's been fast, but he needs to clean up his racing. And it seems like maybe he's on that right foot after his good run at Daytona. Now, in case viewers are not familiar with the Jetta Rallycross Charity Cup, Gary, why don't you go down the race details?
Here for this series, it's round 6 of 8, which I believe will be 6 of 9 going into the next couple of races. But we take to these tracks with the VW Jetta TDI Cup, not the Volkswagen Rallycross Beetle, but the actual full front wheel Ford. Gosh, if I could English properly, that'd be great. Front wheel driving the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup with 3 heats, 5 laps. And 2 consolations with 5 laps if all needed. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a 10-lap feature with 10 cars maximum.
So we're just now wrapping up here in this warm-up. And I mentioned it, the longer lap length with the longer straights, much higher speed. You can really see it here, how fast they're coming in to that first corner, Gary. I'm wondering what this is going to be like for the drivers, because most of the other tracks that they've driven on so far are so compact that I feel like this is going to be quite a different experience.
It's going to be definitely different for sure for some of these drivers. The only extension really to make this track longer, you see where the IRX is. Well, that's where the short configuration starts, but they go around this small extension here, add a little bit more dirt as well in the second half. And they're going to come across this jump, and then that's how they'll start this lap. Unfortunately for Gustavo Gianferrani, unfortunately almost missing the jump, but just managing to hang on to it.
Yeah, he was not quite there, and Georgi having a few troubles as well. Comes to a halt up against the Armco himself. Samogi is leading the way in our warm-up here right now, only 16 thousandths faster than Visky. So those two, definitely the two to watch out for, it seems. Georgi's actually less than a tenth back from Visky, so he's still within range that maybe he could do something. And they're going to have limited laps in the qualifying, only 3 laps that they are allowed. Considering the mistakes that we're seeing from some of the drivers, it could be down to who can get a nice, crisp, clean one in. Different from last time, too. It looks like they're taking more of the hairpin this time. That'll be interesting in a front-wheel drive car. Let's see if we can get someone going over the jump a little bit cleaner this time. Almost off the edge. Not quite there.
So close yet so far. I mean, you have to give it to them, though. At least they're continuing to make attempts. These cars are definitely not built for this type of racing, as unfortunately evidenced there by that jump just alone. But I mean, all in all, rallycross jumps sometimes at some tracks can produce quite a challenge, especially with this hairpin here at Atlanta. This hairpin section is so fun, actually, at times, especially since it not only comes out to the pit road section, the closest that you be to the main oval track, but it's also slightly banked as well, so you can carry some momentum there and try and essentially diamond the corner in a sense, slide up the hairpin, and then move down and get a little bit of extra speed there off that corner.
Yeah, that's one thing I noticed as soon as they introduced this track on iRacing is that banking and that hairpin. I want to say that's the first time that they introduced banking on any of the dirt sections in the rallycross races. So right on board with Georgi going through these S's. A little out of shape there coming in, but he collects it together. He's gonna let's stay on through the hairpin. No, he's gonna take us through the Joker, which cuts that out. And that actually concludes our time to take us into the qualifying, past the warm-up. So drivers have got all the practice in that they can do. See what they've learned and who can manage to translate that to one lap pace here today. They'll get 5 minutes for these 3 laps, and they each have the track to themselves. It's a solo qualifying in this series. Let's see, we've got guys like Gianferrani quick out of the gate. Veldman is actually ahead of him, too, looking to be the first one to get a lap in. And they're going to start the timing line right up here, just under that IRX sign. So this is the first time lap now started for the Brazilian driver as he swings it through the first few corners as the stopwatch ticks away.
Of course, you have to go throughout the entire course and not use the Joker, so we'll see how everyone fares with especially this section of the track, as Veldman looked to be a little bit slow throughout the hairpin, just trying to get a grasp on things, but just managing to hang on to it, stay off the wall as well. He's going to come across these final couple of corners and complete this first lap.
Yeah, just these last 2 to go, and he's got to be successfully over the jump too. So let's watch that. He's taking a very tight line to the inside, gets the car very sideways, but it snaps back on him. He's barely going to go over it. I don't think that should discount the lap because it looks like he did not get a slowdown for skipping it. Let's see if it counts. It does count. It's a 58.6. That'll be the first time on the board. He's followed by Brokaw, who actually looks like, Brokaw did take the Joker on that one. So not sure why he did. And he's not going to take it this time, it looks like. So Brokaw will stay out. Kenyeri, a new face that we haven't seen here yet. Tomas across the line puts in a 58.9. That's going to be good enough for 7th. Visky still holds the provisional pole after most everybody except Brokaw has taken that first lap.
Ooh, Veldman almost had it. Overcorrected. It's the same thing before, yeah, from his last lap.
Visky looked a lot cleaner than he did over the jump. I'm watching Gabor now as the number 5 crosses the line. It's a 55.9. Oh, but he's taken over by Samogi. Wow. So Mark now up to the pole position. And we're waiting for everybody to come around for that final lap.
At this point, with the time rounding down, 3 laps for these drivers, so they should relatively be completing their final attempts here momentarily, as Kenyeri improves on that previous lap time.
So Kenyeri getting into it despite being new. Veldman will be the first to finish all 3 laps. Can he get this one right this time? Yes. It looks well, it snapped back a little bit, but it wasn't as violent. Did it hurt his time, though? He's down in 8th. He has a lot of time to make up because of his mistakes on the previous 2. It's a 56.9. That is a huge improvement, but it only takes him up to 7th place. Samogi crosses his 3rd one, stays on the pole. Visky not able to get faster than him. He's 0.3 off. Do we have anybody else left to finish? Looks like Foes is coming to the line, and Kenyeri. Foes doesn't count that last lap. He had something that unfortunately disqualified him. So Kenyeri, who sits in 6th, down into the line. A 57.0 is not going to be faster than his previous one. That is everybody in our qualifying. So Samogi is going to be our pole sitter. As far as I'm aware, we should have 1 heat, 1 B main, and then they'll have a feature race in this series, but we should have all 9 cars be taking part in all 3 if it goes like we had last time. This is just Brokaw just doing some warm-up laps from here since he's already done with his qualifying. So Samogi is going to be your pole sitter with Visky starting in 2nd place. You've got Gabor Georgi starting P3 with Tim Brokaw, good enough for 4th place despite missing his first timed lap. Vince Jurak is going to be starting in P5. Then you've got Tomas Kenyeri in 6th with Alexander Veldman in 7th, Gustavo Cianferrani in P8, and Sean Foes in 9th. And indeed, that is correct. We will see 1 heat, 1 B main, and 1 feature race here today as they all now grid up. They're all quickly out there. So the engines start to rev. What's it going to be off the line? Green flag is out. Visky looking a little stronger than Samogi there off the starting line, but Samogi still has the inside. He's got Georgi peeking down, almost making it 3 wide. Still, the top 2 leaders try to figure out who is going to come to the jump first. Looks like it might be Visky, but he doesn't quite get the traction that he needs. Samogi with a drag race down to start the first lap as they go under the banner.
And it's going to be Samogi just coming out front as they head into the first section of this track over in the SS. And right now it's going to be Tim Brokaw actually going to the inside lane as Visky slides up the track. And immediately both Brokaw and Samogi take the Joker lap first time by.
Don't blame them. What about everybody else heading through the hairpin, though? Pretty single file through there. Nobody able to do much. Visky's going to lead them. But he is going to come out behind Foes, who just took his Joker lap. So I wonder if Sean is going to find himself holding up Visky, or does he have the pace to keep ahead of that number 5? Meanwhile, ahead of them, Samogi and Brokaw come under the banner one more time. They're on lap 2 now.
Sometimes I wonder if Sean Foes goes off and just almost in front of someone else. Luckily not managing to make any other contact, but a lot of bad luck for that number 9 so far, just after taking the Joker lap as well. And That's the thing to wonder at some points, where sometimes the Joker lap, like here, can give you a massive time advantage, but some other times you want to wait until the last lap. If you wait until the last lap here, well, not really going to be getting into the first few positions anytime soon.
Got one more taker. That is Veldman this time. That gives him some clean air. Other cars behind them all taking through the hairpin. Some of them really struggling. Looked like John Ferrani may have caught the wall. So that could be dire if he hit the suspension on that concrete. Smogy's still our leader. We're watching Veldman come around to the jump. He's had so much trouble with this part of the track. This time he's looking a little better though.
Luckily for Veldman, a lot less speed coming throughout that final corner. So for the time being, we'll have to wait and see as Mark Simogi is going to be making his way through the hairpin once again. Still trying to just keep that gap between himself and Brokaw.
And I can tell you that one of the closest battles we have is coming through the Joker lap right now. That's Georgi and Kenyeri for what is now third place. So they're done with their Joker lap. Where do they come out in relation to the leaders? They're a little bit behind Brokaw. So this has worked out well for Tim, who's already taken his Joker lap. He's solidified that second place. But Smogy, you can't see because he's not even on the screen. He's that far ahead that he has just left these drivers in the dust.
Smogy at this point has this win pretty much all set by the looks of it, with great momentum, staying faster and faster laps, lap by lap. I'm pretty sure he's taking note of that. Same with Brokaw as well. He's going to be taking note of the momentum that Smogy has been carrying throughout this entire event. I'm pretty sure Brokaw is thinking, well, maybe I should wait just a little bit longer. Maybe take the Joker lap one lap after Smogy takes his. As Visky goes straight flying by Brokaw after taking his Joker lap.
Yeah, Visky now to second place. I was kind of wondering about that because he was one of the last ones we were waiting on himself, and Jurak needed it. We're going to get the white flag. Now, he does not seem to be a threat to Mark up in that number 32. He's got a 3-second lead over Visky, which is exactly what he wants right now, since Mark, of course, is trying to catch Visky in the championship hunt here. He sets another fastest lap as well.
So it's all set for Mark Simogi. Now it's between Visky and Brokaw for P2, but I think Albert Visky pretty much has this set in the bag.
Yeah, it's going to take a big mistake for Brokaw to have a chance to get by. We're riding on board with Tim. The Buckeye driver is at least within range, but at 1.3 seconds and the lap so short, not likely to see him be able to run this down. Meanwhile, up at the front, Mark Simogi. He started this heat race on the pole. He's going to finish it in the exact same spot as he hops over the jump, climbs the hill to the finish line. Checkered flag waves for the number 32.
It's going to be Gabor Albert Visky rounding out P2 with Brokaw in P3 to round out this first heat.
Georgi's going to wind up settling for fourth after starting on the podium, so he falls a position down. How about Kenyeri with a nice top 5 in his first attempt here? Veldman, unfortunately, seems to have had an incident that we missed because he's got a smoking engine. You can see the leftovers of that. So that's going to finish our first heat. There you see the results. I think we're waiting on, yes, just Foes to come across the line here. As soon as he comes across, we'll be moving over to the B main shortly. So as the drivers now
Skipping
get
right
moved
through to
over
warm-up,
there.
actually.
Oh, so we're only going to have the feature. Yeah, you are right. That gives us a chance to dissect what we saw before. And it's hard to deny here, Gary, that it seems like Simogi is once again the one to beat. I mean, there's little we've seen in ways of cracks in his armor.
And Mark Simogi is just continuing his just bout of momentum, and relentlessly as well. Speaking of momentum, Jurek and Veldman carried a little bit too much momentum there coming into the final portion of that dirt section, just coming to the jump. And going off the track. But luckily, we've only seen that so far just in warm-up sessions, as we may be seeing this throughout the race. A 3 wide, and Feldman unfortunately going into the catch fencing. But for the most part,
I think he was just having some fun there and just decided to abandon it when they were 3 wide in that corner. Boy, it would be something to see that in the race, though. A little bit of contact here in the warm-up between Brokaw and Visky. So as the drivers come off of that into the paved portion, I don't think we've seen anybody work their way off of that that exit, that long sweeping left-hander. That is one thing I noticed some weeks ago when I helped make the track guide here for this place, Gary, is if your wheels go off, the fall off of that grass is so steep. It's like there's just no coming back from it.
yeah, there's just absolutely no recovering from that. That long sweeping left-hander, it kind of reminds me of the final dirt section around the Phoenix Rallycross course, where it's along, well, at least part of the Joker lap, I should say, where it goes from asphalt to dirt. But all in all, it's a long sweeping right-hander going into that.
So clock ticks down here on the warm-up. So now we will get to go to the grid for our feature race. It is going to be Samogi on the pole again with Visky starting next to him. Georgi will be P3 and Tomas Canieri in 4th. Gustavo Cianfrani, P5 for him with Tim Brokaw in 6th position. Veldman 7th, Urak 8th, and Foes 9th. That is all of our cars that started in this event. All are going to get to take part, but will they all see the checkered flag? Lights come up, engines start to rev, the green flag is out, and it's almost a carbon copy with Visky trying to use this better start to get into the lead, and I think he's done it this time. Visky is up in front of Samogi. We got a car turn, though. That's Canieri, who does a full 360 as Tim Brokaw tries to return to the track from an off.
As Tim Brokaw tries to get everything gathered back together, Mark Smokey's going to look to the driver's right-hand side, goes directly behind Visky in these first few opening corners. Now we have to wonder who's willing to take the Joker lap this first time around, especially now that they have 10 laps as opposed to 5. This is going to be something to keep an eye on. There goes Visky into the Joker lap. Samogi stays on the main course.
Interesting that they took different routes here. So does this mean that Samogi is going to come back around and take it immediately, or is he going to wait on his own because he's got clear track in front of him? If he thinks is faster, he doesn't necessarily need to come and do that immediately. Visky, who takes the jump, is leading now ahead of Georgi, who followed him through. Behind them, a close battle for 3rd place. Jurak and Veldman trying to sort that one out.
Trying on board Alexander Veldman, who is looking to that 3rd place position, right behind Benson Jurak. You see over on the left-hand side is that only about the second half of the field, only 4 cars have yet to take the Joker lap. This is going to be something to keep an eye on as drivers cross the start-finish line. But look at Veldman. That's a great shot there as he is all over the back bumper there of Jurak, and more contact as well as Samogi's trying to get, or not Samogi trying to get by, but rather, I believe that's Canieri trying to get by.
It was. Tomas got up next to him, but then couldn't carry the speed off the hairpin. So they're going to continue on in the same position they were, with Jurak in 3rd, Veldman 4th, and Canieri in 5th position. Slide it into that corner and try to get their speed up over the jump. Good run from Veldman once again. Defensive line from Jurak coming up to this fast first corner, trying to keep from opening the door. And it indeed will keep Veldman from being able to get through. Oh, but he's loose. And Jurak is going to lose the spot anyways. Almost gets hit by Canieri. Still, that's going to give 3rd place to Veldman.
Veldman currently sits in that podium spot. Samogi has yet to take his Joker lap, as well as the second half of the field, relatively. So we'll see how that plays out. But I think Samogi, if he does take the Joker lap, I think he's actually closing in. Regardless, he is by about a second, almost 2 seconds per lap for Samogi. So he'll be guaranteed a 3rd place finish by the end of this. But these 3rd through 5th place drivers continue to battle it out as Visky and Georgi just
Oh,
continue to set the pace. Oh,
that was Jurak. Unfortunately, went a little wide over the jump, plowed into the tires. These are very hardy cars, though, so I'm not sure that is going to be as big of a problem as the penalty he felt in terms of time. Feldman now in third, has taken his Joker lap, so this is looking good. He probably will be passed by Smogi. He's actually taking the lap now. Smogi is out. He's got momentum. He's coming up on Visky. Can he try to dive it in? Coming down into the final 2 turns. He's going to look for it. He's given space at the apex.
oh.
Visky with a little bit of a touch as they come through, but I think Gabor is going to hold on to the lead.
Hold on to it for now, but great crossover from Smogi as Visky goes to the right-hand side. It's going to be a drag race coming to lap number 5 at the stripe, or at least the bridge. However, Smogi does have the advantage, but he'll back it off. He'll give the lane to Visky this time by. So Mark Smogi now in the challenge for the lead. He knows he has the momentum. He's been setting fast lap after fast lap on the main course, and now he is within striking distance as Visky goes wide.
Gonna make contact. Visky trying to keep it together, and he does. He retains the lead over Mark Smogi. Mark tried his darndest, even though he got some good laps in there. It seems he was just shy of coming out ahead of Gabor. Now he's got all kinds of work to do, as it seems that that number 5 car is in no mind to give him an easy pass.
Visky is not giving up that lead without a fight, and rightly so. Coming to the IRX bridge, I guess in this case, to the halfway point, and it's pretty much a reverse of what we've seen in the heat race. And look at that, Gabor Albert Visky now with the fastest lap of the race, as opposed to Mark Smogi. So this is something to really keep an eye on throughout these final 5 laps.
Wow, Visky he has a fire lit under him, I'd say. Just the way that he has responded to Smogi being dominant earlier on in this event. We watch on board looking from our leader back at the driver trailing him both on the track and in the championship. Mark needs to try and make some inroads, as I think we had a wreck. Oh, a big wreck between Tim Brokaw and Gustavo Cianfroni. Seems as though those two made contact while taking the Joker lap. Let's take a look at the replay. Looks like Brokaw was trying to turn to the left to take the natural racing line. Oh, yep. There's that arm I talked about. So we come back to our leaders, still separated by only half a second between them. And it is still Visky leading with Smogi chasing.
Kinyeri with a great avoidance of that wreck. So avoidance and heads-out driving will, at least at the moment, not him a P5 finish. But Smogi right now just trying to hang on, trying to chase down, or at least get alongside Gabor Albert Visky for at the moment. As he looks to the left-hand side, Visky goes defensive. And he'll stay defensive, actually, not giving Smogi that slipstream down this main straightaway. And now it's Smogi with a faster lap this time by. These two are pushing each other every single lap. Something's got to give at some point.
Visky's hoping it's not him. Oh, as he might have taken that turn a little shallow on entry. It looks like he's got through there. Right underneath that rear bumper, Mark is putting the pressure on. He's close enough. He could make another dive and another move for P1. He's close, but I don't think he's quite there. In fact, he is not going to make an attempt.
Might be waiting for the right moment to make a pass. We'll see what comes of their lap times this time by under the bridge.
2 to
As
go.
we look behind, here comes Smogi. Decides against it. No one faster this time by.
He was so close as well. Honestly, a little shocked that he didn't try and send one in. Taking a different line, though, looking for the crossover. He's managed to get beside him, and he's ahead now. It is going to be another drag race here. This time, though, Samogi manages to get fully beyond him. Visky is going to see the white flag, but he's not going to be the first car to see it. Can he be the first one to take the checkered flag? Up to the double apexer. He's too far behind here. Tries to take a shallower entry, doesn't produce fruit.
Visky directly behind. He'll have one more shot, especially into the hairpin, but this time bites the white flag. Final lap for, at the moment, Gabor Albert Visky, who has at least one more chance to get by Mark Smogi. Both of these drivers have been pushing each other, and we'll see as they come up to lap traffic, but I don't think he'll be a factor.
Oh, there's a little touch between them. Visky maybe was trying to do the same move. In fact, he is trying to do the same move. They're going to be side by side. He couldn't quite do it as they bang doors between their Jettas. The inside going to Samogi as he shoves him out, tries to keep from falling off that cliff. Visky survives, but that may have cost him the chance to try and take this victory away. Samogi has the advantage unless he makes a big mistake on this corner exit. Oh, a little too shallow there for Visky behind him. He was getting eager to try and do something as they come to the line. Mark Samogi, he won the heat race. He's going to win the feature here in that number 32 here in Atlanta. What a battle!
An absolutely incredible race between these two drivers. And they are, of course, showing their sportsmanship for each other as, well, the race is not entirely over just yet. Here comes Tomas Quinieri with a great avoidance earlier on in this race. Will come home in position number 5.
Yeah, with Georgi, who took the final step of the podium. Jurek and is Foes going to be able to finish on the lead lap? Yes, he is. So Jurek and Foes going to be our last two. And Sean Ferrani, unfortunately, finishing 2 laps down from the leaders at the end of things. So with that, we are going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. That was one of the best races we've seen in this series all season long. We'll try and dissect it, go through the finishing order, and get some driver interviews here in a moment after this break. Welcome back to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Our second visit to the track has been a stunner. We saw a battle for the win that came down to the very last lap here in this round. And Mark Samogi, he was not going to be denied. He took the victory after having both poles in the heat and the feature. Visky, who led much of the race this time, just was not able to keep him back. Still, he took a second place, so at least he limited the damage of Simogi trying to catch him in the points. Georgi rounds out your podium. Fourth wound up being Alexander Veldman, with fifth going to Tomas Kanyeri. What are the latter half of the field there, Gary?
We got Benz Jurak in the sixth place position, and then running up the rest of the field, it is Sean Foes, Gustavo Gianferrani having a lot of bad luck this race, unfortunately, and same goes to Tim Brokaw, rounding out ninth.
We've got our winner ready to talk to us. Mark, it looked like you had some fun today, but how surprised were you that you got that lead stolen away there at the start?
Oh yeah, it was a very big fun. So I enjoyed it so much. Yeah, it was surprising when Whiskey had a mistake on the hairpin, so he let a little bit of space, and I could put the car in there. I enjoyed it so much, and I must sweat a little bit.
Yeah, it certainly came to a little bit of contact, but that's the nature of rallycross racing, I guess you could say. I I don't know what was like for you guys down on the track, but up here, that was one of the more entertaining ones we've seen. It seemed like passing opportunities were a little bit more viable at a place like this. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah, it was a lot of space, but if I put the car in there, it could be a disaster. So I didn't do it about this. Yeah. So it was a much bigger fun than the others, because the truck is much bigger, so you have a lot of space. But firstly, I want to say thank you about Georgie and Whiskey, because they don't speak English very well, so they want to say thank you for this championship and for you guys to make this happen.
Of course. And while we've got you here, and while you've got a chance with a microphone, do you want to talk a little bit about the charity that you're looking to donate to if you manage to catch up and take this championship back?
Yes, I want to give this charity to the Heimpal Children Hospital, because the children's there, they have a little they need it. So if I win it, I could give it them. But last week I heard Chankran, I think, because there is a very big COVID-19 virus, and if uh, I have to think about it, because I heard a lot of news about this, and if there is possible, I will get it there, I
That
think.
makes sense. Yes, trying to make sure that it goes to a place that is needed, especially in dire times like these. Well, thank you for coming and talking to us, Mark. Congratulations on another victory, and hopefully we'll see you out in California.
Yeah, hope so. Thank you guys very much for this event, and I want to say thank you for George Racing team to made a lot of practice on this map with me.
That practice definitely paid off because that was your winner, the number 32 of Mark Simogi. That's going to wrap up our interviews. As we heard, the other two not so great at English, so we thank them for at least sending a message to Mark so that he could relay that to us. Big congratulations to both of the Gabors. Next, though, we are going to thank a few people of our own that help make this broadcast possible, such as the companies that provide the software and hardware that we use. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Gary, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel. Facebook is Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram is GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support us, go check out our merchandise at gsrc.storenvy.com. Get a link in the description below if you don't want to type that out. And while you're there, if you make sure and click on the big red button that says subscribe, you won't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, we're going to a new track for the first time in a couple rounds. It'll be at Sonoma's Rallycross course. That'll be Saturday, June 13th at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.